My husband, 32 and I, 29 female, planned a week vacation to New Orleans in the U.S. But mostly, I have been planning this for months. Back in March, I told him I would plan most of it, where to go and what to do, and all he had to do was make sure he had the week off and buy the plane tickets. I spent the last few months researching what to do. I booked the hotel room, made reservations at places we wanted to try, and made a list of all the sites I wanted to see. Every few weeks, I would check in with my husband to see if he'd axe off and bought the tickets yet. He'd say he was waiting for the plane ticket prices to drop. 3 weeks ago, I reminded him again, and he said he cut off work for the days, but had forgotten to get the tickets. He looked online and the tickets were close to $1,500 per ticket. He said he would wait some more to see if they would go down. Last week, I asked if he bought them yet, and he said, no. We looked again and the prices were still high. He said he wasn't willing to spend that much on them and asked how much money I would lose if I canceled everything instead. He offered to have a nice staycation instead. I told him I was unwilling to cancel everything because I spent so much time planning it. We argued and we didn't come to a conclusion. I wound up just buying one ticket for myself. And when I flew out Saturday, I told him I was still going, and he acted all surprised that I didn't want to stay home with him. I'm in New Orleans now, and he is blowing up my phone, saying I'm an idiot for still going without him. He was trying to get a ticket to come to. I told him he would get his own hotel room if he came because this is now my vacation away from him. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I don't know your husband's deal, but he acted like an idiot. I don't know if he deliberately sabotaged the trip or didn't care enough to follow through on his tiny piece of things. Still, you are absolutely right not to let him ruin the trip for you, and he's sure as section be booking an expensive plane ticket to join you now. I hope you'll be ready with a massive apology when you get home. This reeks of intentional sabotage. It also looks like they have some separate finances, so he was willing to throw ops money at the wind so he could save the plane tickets money. In my opinion, he didn't want to go to begin with. And instead of communicating, he came up with this insane plan. Good for Op for going no matter what. I wonder if this is a common occurrence in their marriage. I agree. Hope you shut your phone off. And if there are people you must have contact you, get a burner phone and share the number with those couple people. He doesn't get to ruin this after basically destroying it. Although I am curious why you didn't buy the tickets, no blame. I get the principle of it, and ultimately, this is his, not yours. Go have fun, sis. She can block him temporarily or use Do Not Disturb and then make a white list that can go through. No need to run out and buy another phone. The one thing Op should not do, as I'm sure her dear husband will demand she does, is apologize for going on the vacation she planned at the date she planned by herself, as hubby didn't bother to follow through on buying plane tickets. OP, that was weaponized incompetent. Trying to manipulate you into canceling the vacation because he didn't want to go. But on you for going anyway and not playing his passive-aggressive BS game. She's my fiancé right now, but our argument is that once we're married, she wants her name on the house deed. Years ago, I bought several acres as soon as I could afford it. Back then, it was part of a ranch surrounded by other ranchers. The owner needed money, so he parceled out this section and sold it to me. I built a small house on it and have lived in it ever since. Since it was initially part of a ranch, I did enough to legally keep it classified as a ranch. So the property tax is extremely low. Over the years, companies moved to the neighboring big city and land prices increased. Almost all the ranchers sold their lands to developers, so now huge houses surround mine. They start from $500,000 and go to several $1 million. None of them sit on even an acre of land. My house is clearly the worst around, and I have no doubt it's bringing the value of nearby houses down. That's all happened before I met and dated my fiancé. Now that we're engaged, we're talking seriously about our finances. The only sticking point is the house. She wants her name on the deed once we're married because we'll share our lives. Alternatively, she wants me to sell the house and we purchase a home together. I don't find either option attractive. In our state, we take out whatever we bring to the marriage. Since I'll be bringing the house into the marriage, I can leave with it should things not work out. If I put her name on it, then she'll get half. If I sell the house, there's no way I'll be able to anything even close to what I have now. Not to mention, our property tax will be several times higher. Then there's the drive time. My house is 30 minutes away from my work and 40 from hers. House prices have increased so much that we'll have to move at least an hour away from our jobs. Like I said, we agreed with or compromised on everything else. This issue is the only sticking point and it's becoming big. So much so that she brought her family into it. This weekend, her father took me to dinner for a man-to-man talk. He told me that if we join our lives, we must join everything. He expects me to do the right thing if I want to join their family. So now it's her entire family on one side and me by myself on the other. Am I wrong to want to keep the house I built to myself? Edit. I'm comfortable with us living in my house and paying all the taxes and maintenance myself. Also, if I sell the land, I don't want to buy any new house outright with that money. We won't see a real estate agent because if we buy a house together, I want it to be something we can both afford. Mortgage, down payment, taxes divided equally. I would put any money I make off the sale into my retirement account. That's why I have yet to sell my land despite many developers begging me to. Yes, I'm actually begged. I view it as my retirement investment. Not the idea. The biggest red flag is how she deals with this. Instead of working it out with you, she goes to her mommy and daddy and sends flying monkeys to deal with it. This is how every issue is going to be dealt with. Every disagreement is going to be her whole family against you every time. I don't think any of them have either your best interests or your well-being at heart. I have no doubt that if the roles were reversed, you'd be having dinner with her father explaining how you need to do the right thing and not expect half. I'm not saying break up with her. I'm just pointing out serious red flags. The fact is, if she isn't planning on breaking up, she wouldn't need to demand half. She's planning for her post-divorce life. You should do the same. She's already planned her exit before even saying, I do. Perhaps, Daddy could provide his princess the money to buy into the house. If it's that important to him, he should have skin in the game too. Right? Hope he should suggest putting off the wedding until this can be resolved. Her response will give Opie an idea of her true motivations. If she cares more about being married than getting a share, she just made a foolish mistake in handling this. If not, Opie is saving himself from making a huge mistake by not marrying her. Also, another man-to-man chat with Dad is required. Tell him you are marrying his daughter someday, not his family, and you will make decisions as a couple. His input is not needed. He'll respect Hopi for being upfront, or he'll double down, and Hopi will know at least Dad is only in it for what his daughter can get. Don't make a foolish decision you'll regret for a long time. It was my husband's birthday yesterday, so I planned a birthday dinner with both of our families. Which he basically missed because his meeting was overrun by a law. Our son is a toddler and I have him in a routine, so I made sure he ate at his regular time. Didn't want to give him a load of sugar right before bed because I knew he wouldn't sleep, so I let him have some of the cake once he'd finished his dinner. It's not a big deal because my son is the one who wanted to buy the cake as a present for his dad. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have got one as my husband isn't a big cake fan. My sister-in-law, my husband's brother's wife, is the one who turned this into an issue because she told me it was rude for us to cut the cake without the birthday boy. I should make my son wait since my husband would be home soon. I know my husband, and it could mean anywhere from 20 minutes to 3 hours. And I wasn't gonna wait that long, so I gave my son the cake. Multiple people told me I shouldn't have done it after my sister-in-law spoke up, and I'll be honest, they were getting under my skin since why should my son miss out on the cake because his dad is late? My husband came home over an hour later, and when he saw cake, he jokingly told our son off for stealing his cake, but he wasn't serious. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. The birthday cake was for your husband, not your son. if the timing wasn't gonna work out, he could have just told your son he could have some of the cake tomorrow and given him another snack. If I were your husband, I would have been hurt. I suspect you did that because you were miffed your husband's meeting ran long, and he missed the birthday dinner. You planned for him. I get that. If he does that kind of thing often, you need to voice your frustration and let him know he's responsible for respecting your time and effort too. I read all this and thought, was the cake only edible for one day? All Op had to do was let her son have the cake tomorrow. Hope he clearly was angry about her plans not being followed to a T on her husband's birthday, so she came up with a reason to screw with him. He saw the cake. He jokingly told off our son for stealing his cake, but he wasn't being serious. Of course not, he knows you are the idiot and not your son. And this was a toddler's gift to his dad. What if he gives another kid a toy? Does he also get to play with it first? You have a lot to work on. My son got married a few years ago. He lives on the other side of the country than us. He got a great job opportunity after college, so he moved down. 2 years ago, he got married to Jenny, and from what I heard, it was a beautiful wedding. So the whole issue started when we were trying to get there. The wedding was on Saturday, and our plane left on Thursday night. Well, it got delayed and then delayed about 4 more times, Friday morning at this point, and then all the planes got cancelled due to a storm. When that happened, it was clear we were not leaving and driving there would take too long, and we would still miss the ceremony. So we informed him and he was angry. We sent our well wishes, and we could FaceTime in if he wanted. He said no, and we saw a video of him getting married. The present day is that whenever we get into an argument or he wants us to do something, he pulls up the "we missed his wedding" card. We were talking over the phone. We were talking about hosting Thanksgiving this year. He got mad saying, "Why won't you visit us?" And I told him we didn't have the money for the trip, and we just visited him 2 months ago. We got into an argument and he pulled the "you missed our wedding." It's the least you can do. I told him enough and that he needed to get over it. He called me a jerk. My daughter learned about it as she's on our side, but I don't know. I know my son wants us to visit all the time since he doesn't like his wife's family. He generally misses us for the holidays, but he will never fly up to see us, and we have to go to him. He keeps talking about moving back. Edit, yes, we looked into other airports and the planes were grounded also. We're from Maine, and the storm was going through our states and then riding down the East Coast. It basically blocked travel for 2 days. We thought about driving, but we decided we wouldn't be able to do the 37-hour drive. We didn't feel it was the safest option since the storm was happening, and it was a super long drive without brakes. Not the idea. It sounds like you and your husband made all reasonable efforts to get there, and it just wasn't gonna happen. I would have still driven to at least get to the reception and celebrate, but that's just me. That being said, that's a big milestone moment he missed, and it will take time for him to get over it. He must find a way to peace with the situation without lording it over you forever, or OPE's son could grow the heck up and realize that the entire travel industry is not required to bow to his whim. How can he continue to bellyache about his parents missing his wedding when the weather caused the issue is beyond me. I never would have expected my parents to get to my wedding if the weather was so bad they were grounding planes or tried to come anyway and drive 37 hours in danger. Bad weather. I could never forgive myself if something bad happened to them. Yes. I'd have been disappointed, but to keep bringing it up years later, why is he so butthurt over this? Is there more to this story? Opie, you didn't skip the wedding, weather prevented your arrival. It's a bit late to do it, but the first time you tried to pull the "you miss my wedding" card, I would have said, yeah, we're pretty angry at you about that, but try to give you for the fact that your choice to move so far away caused the situation that led us to miss it. It sounds like he's made some life choices moving away that negatively impacted his happiness, and he's taking his frustration about that out on you. My 33 female golden retriever Trixie and I live near Republic Park. They have a large public playground that Trixie likes to go to. Due to my work schedule, we either go early in the morning or late at night. Typically, there are not a lot of kids at those times of the day. I'd avoid hours with many kids because I don't want them coming to Trixie. I'm responsible. Whenever Trixie poops, I pick it up, and she's always on verbal recall, no leash. She would never hurt anyone. Today, it was Trixie and I and one other family. Trixie was running at the playground. She likes the sand the most. But today, a mum asked me not to have Trixie at the playground. She explained that this was a place for kids, not for dogs. I explained that there was no signage saying no dogs, and I'd looked up our municipality code. There's nothing saying dogs are not allowed on playgrounds. I tell her that my dog is allowed to have fun too. I was a touch defensive, but I don't like anyone criticizing Trixie and me. I allowed Trixie to continue playing as we'd only been there about 5 minutes. Well, the mom gets angry and calls me an idiot and selfish. She says playgrounds are for kids. I tell her to drop it or go home. When it was clear I wasn't leaving, she gathered up her kids and left. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. I love my dog like child, but playgrounds with equipment are for children and dog parks are for dogs. It's one thing if you were there when there aren't children, but when a family is trying to play, you don't know if the kid's terrified of dogs or allergic. They should be allowed to play without a snarky dog mom thinking her dog can use children's play equipment. I explained that there's no signage, no dogs. Yeah. Like, I'm heading to the play park later with my angry lion, there's no signs, so I'm good. Right? Hopi, there's no signage against other animals either, but that's because it's well understood that animals have no place on the playground. I had a friend who had a cougar cub roaming free in their house. We avoided the plants on the stairs because that's where he hid. They got rid of him when he got bigger, but he was the talk of the school. A defensive dog owner, my stars who knew such a thing existed, and verbal recall does not constitute an actual restraint. Every dog is on verbal recall until they aren't. Lol. Playgrounds are for human children. The places dogs can go and play are called dog parks. And you have your dog off its leash at the children's playground. Even if your dog gets close to looking like it might attack a child, you're gonna have either a lawsuit or a dead dog or perhaps both. You don't know how they will react even with the friendliest dogs.